Lights up bright, dope, Campbell Stadium is alive. Seminoles rise and fight to survive. Helmet gleam under that blazing sun. Florida State where champions run. Seminole sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Turf torn up under Seminole feet. The war chant pounds to the heart's own beat. Chop through the noise like a storm in the sky. 2025, we reach for the high. Seminole sideline 365.
Welcome back to Seminole Sideline 365. It's KB and the old man, and we are reacting to the news today. The surprising news is the Mike Alford giving his 100% support behind Mike Norvell and indicating that there will not be any change in the coaching staff until the end of the year, when there will be a full assessment of the program or a comprehensive analysis of the football program, and that will not occur until the end of the season, which will come obviously in November. So that means that unless something drastically changes, Mike Norvell will be the coach in 2 weeks against Wake Forest, against Clemson, against Florida, so on and so forth. And this obviously, and I think rightfully, led to many angry comments on social media by fans and analysts and media, because this is I think a stupid PR statement, a stupid move by an athletic director, a dumb move, because you basically said Florida State is sitting on a lame duck coach, officially sitting with a lame duck coach, and publicly put that out there. They know that this is essentially saying that, we're going to evaluate a coach who has underperformed for 2 years. We're not going to evaluate him for another 2 months. But we know he's underperformed, and he said that in a statement that he's not living up to the standard. But we're not going to review that performance for another 2 months. In no other business in the world would anyone publicly come out and say that and not take action on that performance. They would not say, hey, you're doing shitty at your job, but let's wait 2 months until performance review until we take action on it if you're doing this poorly for 2 years. By putting that statement out there, it shows no recognition of the fan base and what they're feeling and the statements they publicly put out there, because as we know, the Florida State fan base is very vocal, especially on social media. And so this move has basically shown either Mike Alford is totally out of the loop in terms of what the fan base is feeling right now and how they feel towards Mike Norvell in this program, or he himself is on the choppy block. I think those are the two most popular opinions at this point, is that Mike Alford may be on the choppy block right now, or he may be on his way out. Maybe he's looking somewhere else and looking for an exit route. Or he's so disconnected from the fan base of this football program that he thought this statement would soothe people or tide them over for a while he figures out what he's going to do with his head coaching position, because he knows he needs to make a move. Right or wrong, this was the wrong decision to make, Mike, because you did totally discredit the feelings of your fans and of your boosters and of the people giving their money, who are a lot of them are fans, giving to your NIL programs that are funding the roster on this football team. And if you expect any of those fans now to say, why would they invest in a lame duck coach into essentially a lame duck program for the next 2 months? And you've just given ammunition to all your rivals to say, oh, look, you think you think Mike Norvell is going to be back in 2 months? Why would you continue to go to visits at Florida State? If I'm Miami, if I'm Georgia, if I'm, anyone who's in a recruiting battle for any of Florida State's recruits, I'm calling them up right away and saying, cancel your visit to Florida State, because you think Mike Norvell is going to be there when they do their end of season assessment of that coach? No. So you just gave ammunition to all of our rivals and all of our recruiting battles to use this against us now by not making a corrective action right now, but delaying it by 2 months. I know this is a big financial decision, but like I said in our previous show, the short-term costs will be much greater than, or will save you in the long term if you don't make them now, right? The long-term cost can be even worse if you don't make corrective action quickly. I'll turn it over to you to give your thoughts.
Yeah, I can't argue with your opening statements there, KB. I think that's fair. I think it's balanced. I think the key, if anybody's read the official release from FSU and Michael Alford, apparently he wrote it or had help writing it. I think the key statement, which you kind of highlighted, it says, quote, as we continue to move forward this season, our comprehensive assessment of the football program will be completed at season's end. So that says, for now, it appears that would say Mike Norvell is the coach until after the game against the University of Florida, or potentially, if we get to 6 wins, we need 3 more wins after a bowl game. That would take it into potentially end of December or to, I would say early December. Early December by mid-December. So, which are the trash bowl games.
Yeah.
Whether he would coach that or not coach that, my concern is basically what more damage does it do to the program by keeping him on at this point, right?
Yeah.
Because if Mike Norvell, we've said it for 2 or 3 weeks now. We certainly said it. What day yesterday we were on? I think we were. I can't even remember. We said he is done. We both agree Mike Norvell is done. Any way that you cut this, any way you cut the cake, he's out of here. I must assume that it's about the money at this point.
100% is. 100%
Whether he wins out or not is immaterial. Whether he loses every game or wins every game, it's immaterial in this regard. And I will tell you, I was listening to Mike Norvell's post-game presser this week. Now, the post-game presser after Stanford, it's the way he talks. The way he talks and hesitates and his word salad. If he recruits this way, if he goes to recruits' homes, talks to parents, talks to the recruits this way, I can see why he's not getting the top level recruits. And I'm assuming that's how he talks. He's hesitant. You can't really tell what the truth is. You can't, and maybe he's just not a good speaker. And that will definitely hurt you in recruiting. And I just don't think to answer that. Yeah.
I just don't think he believes his own message anymore because of the results. I don't think he believes even what he's saying anymore because
that's a good point.
He says the same thing. They don't even put the climb on the graphics anymore because that message isn't even true anymore. It's always been about the climb and
message.
And how you act and how you react and But I don't think he believes what he's preaching anymore. And I think too long, as a coach, and I think in with this generation and this era of coaching, you have to be able to adapt. And in the era of the transfer portal too, when you're bringing in new guys every single year in this type of style, the culture of a program changes very quickly. And you as a coach have to be able to change your pitch and realize how am I going to resonate my message to these players and motivate them and get the most out of them. And I don't think Mike Norvell, and maybe a part of the reason he's failed here is that he's not done that well enough. I think he's stuck with the same pitch year after year after year. And with some teams, maybe it resonated more than others. Maybe with the Jordan Travis, like when you had the right leadership and you brought the right players and you had some turnover or carryover from year after year, it resonated. But when you have the same message for 6 years and you have a lot of new transfers in and everyone doesn't buy in, and then you don't have the execution on the field and you don't have it can lead to bad results. And I think that's really, and like you said in the press conference, the same things are said. He says the same things and you see his body language and it doesn't show that.
Well, you said yourself, you can't hardly listen to him. No. The pressers from Mike Norvell. A lot of other people have said that. I listened to it, and it's just a turnoff. And if this is what he preaches to families and recruits, this could be an indicator that he is not a true motivator in the long run. So that is a potential problem. I want
I
to
don't
flip this up
well,
for a minute. Okay, go ahead.
With that,
Go ahead.
with that, I don't want to say he's not a true motivator. I just think that he's not capable of motivating this team anymore. I think the message
Maybe
has
he's
gone
too
deaf.
nice of a guy. Maybe he's too nice.
I think it's just gone deaf within this program, within these walls. I think, like you said, I think with this era of players and the way you build a program, if you're going to go through a lot through the portal, you have to be able to change that message and make it fit. You have to figure out what's going to work with the players you bring in. And I think he's got to change his style wherever he goes, because he will coach again. Yeah, I guarantee he's going to coach again, whether it's an it'll be assistant or a head coach.
Well, it won't be as a head coach for a while. It doesn't work that way.
Guys bounce around.
No, it doesn't work that way. Coming out of his record,
but he has the ability to motivate, just not this program anymore. That is,
but he won't be a head coach for a while, is what I'm saying, right? Jimbo Fisher is a better head coach than Mike Norvell, and Jimbo Fisher has a better record. I'm not saying he's coming to Florida State.
But Jimbo Fisher is not a coach because he got $60 million or plus that he can sit on. He has no motivation to coach right now.
Did you know, and let me transition because you said something here. You said something about let's talk about what happened is there were things that went on in this Stanford game where he had an altercation. Apparently it's true with Joseph,
Edwin Joseph,
the corner.
Yep.
Okay.
Early in the game.
Early in the game, they had an interchange that didn't go well, and that was caught by other reporters to look at that, because as teams start to disintegrate, the reporters and pressers start keying in on the sidelines. What's going on the sidelines? And apparently there was disrespect from the player to the coach, and they put him right back in the game.
Yeah. He played the rest of the game. Yeah.
Do you think Nick Saban would do that? I don't think Nick Saban would do that. I just don't believe he would do that.
Well, it wouldn't happen to Nick Saban. It would not happen to him.
Well, this is my point.
Yeah.
The players have lost respect for Norvell, and that's kind of what you were saying. But also, there are reports from CBS Sports, I believe I'm quoting them right, that players were joking in the locker room when he was telling the team, well, we've got to respond. We've got to respond.
It's the same
They're
message.
Joking about hearing this constantly.
Because it's
constant. So whether that's true or not, I believe what you're saying is he's not communicating clearly with these players. Now, now he did say in the presser, I believe they played to 100% of their ability and that they never quit. There's reports out there and analysts are saying they're quitting. I don't know about that. They were within 6 inches of tying the game at the end. I'm not sure that's a team that would have quit.
They put up 400 plus yards, no turn. It's only scored 13 points. Like there's people on the field who aren't doing their job. There's only one way you lose that game. It's people not doing their job. That's it. That's it.
Well, then those people by the coaching staff should be pulled out. They should be pulled out of the game. The championship coaches, the best coaches, and Saban has to be one of them, whether you like the guy or not, they're not going to put up with that. Any good disciplined coach will give you a mistake. They know your effort. If they're starting to show this lack of effort or discipline, and then disrespect comes on top of it, you have no other choice than to pull the guy from the game. Period. All right. So that's one of the things. Now, the question is, at this point, what is it where they made this decision to continue? It's hard for me to believe that the biggest boosters in Tallahassee, if that even makes sense, we're not talking about Dallas, Texas, we're talking about Tallahassee, and I know there's some checkbooks there, obviously, that A.D. Alford would not have consulted with those senior boosters who bring the biggest money, that they wouldn't have had a meeting together or a telephone conference call to say, Are we all on board with this? There's no way he put out this statement by himself, in my opinion.
Well, actually, I did. Someone sent us over. There was a meeting, and someone sent us over part of that meeting. So let me pull it up real quick.
All right. We're gonna go out there during this break, and we're gonna come back with a plan. Okay. We're gonna come back with a plan for you. It's a 45-day plan. 45 days to get us back on track. 45 points. It's a 45-day, 45 point, 1 point per day. We get to 45 points. We're back in business.
And yeah, that was the Mike Alford his meeting with the boosters. And that was part of his statement today, essentially, of what he did.
We've got to have a little, we got to have a little laughter, because we're entering a very long, dirty, dusty, ugly journey ahead of another rebuild that's going to be very costly. Yeah. So we're going to have a little bit of laughter along the way, or we will not survive this. So
one thing, I do agree with you.
Do you agree with me that there was a meeting of the minds of the biggest people involved in money issues at Florida State? Would you agree?
If I assume he is doing what an AD should do, 100%. Now,
because Mike Alford is not writing the checks.
No,
he
but
collects them.
Exactly. But if you're doing the job of an AD, you should be talking to the right people before you do this. So I assume he did. And I do assume like you said, there are conversations being made, and I'm sure there are fundraising conversations being had of, we got to get the money somehow. Where's the money going to come from? Can we raise it from? Those things are being had. The whole gripe is that this statement never had to be published. Fans are pissed. That's fine. Fans are going to be pissed regardless of what happens. Fans are going to be pissed going into Wake Forest. That could be a lot. Fans are going to be pissed regardless. This statement, you would have been better with no statement. This statement, what was the point of the statement, Mike?
The statement was to settle the issue of whether Norvell was staying or going. That's what he settled. Now,
but it didn't settle anything for anybody. It just hurts you in every other aspect.
No.
It hurts you against your recruiting. It hurts you in recruiting.
Okay.
it helps you in retention. You're going to see a lot of opt-outs now.
KB, that's a different issue.
It didn't help you at all.
You asked. Wait a minute. Hold on a minute. You asked but you and I are on the same sheet of music here. I'm just saying he put out a statement basically saying, I'm going to review everything for the remainder of the season, but he's our head coach for the remainder of the season.
Support.
Okay, whatever.
Public sign of support.
Whatever.
Yeah, I get it.
For now, what he's saying is this is my decision, but he did it to kill the arguments between, is he staying or is he leaving? And that's what it did. It killed that story. Now, whether it's a good move or not is open to question, like you're questioning now. And as I said at my beginning statement, what is the impact of keeping him on at this point, even though you're going to fire him at the end of the season? He's gone. Okay. Any way you cut it, he's gone. So I agree with you. What is the negative impact? I don't see a positive impact. What is the positive impact of keeping him? Might be a reduction in the money owed to him. I think it's maybe $8-10 million. Okay, I'm not going to do the math here, but that is a positive. What other positive would there be? There are no other positives. There are no other positives except if they're already behind the scenes found their guy and are going to lock down a deal with their guy, and they have nothing to lose at this point, and they'll gain some money. That is a possibility. The negative impacts, though, could potentially, let's say they're going after, who's the guy? He's either defense or offensive coordinator at Ohio State right now.
Defensive coordinator? Hartline. Brian Hart, offensive coordinator.
Brian Hartline.
Yeah.
If they've already reached out, and they do this through the agents, and they can keep it very quiet, and he said, I'll be your guy. Here's what I want, but don't announce anything. right? He doesn't tell them to keep the coach or not, but the whole plan that the boosters, the senior boosters, and Alford have come up with, that is a possibility. We can't rule that out. So we just keep going with this coach. But there's still negative impacts to that, right?
Yeah.
If Ohio State goes deep into the playoffs and they don't make this announcement, that could go into what, mid-January or more. So I think the possibility of negative consequences is much higher than positive. But we got to look at both sides of this. But you and I are on the same sheet of music. But he is right now the continuing coach. And whether he wins out, whether he beats Florida, whether he beats Clemson, which are unlikely, but if he wins out, it's immaterial. Mike Norvell will not be the future coach of this football team. That's not a surprise. The big question is, why is he staying right now?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons he's staying right now is that they don't have the money right now to pay. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that I believe if the sources are right, and I think I read it on the Tallahassee Democrat, is that I believe Mike Norvell, and I brought this up a couple of shows ago, is similar to Franklin's contract at Penn State. I believe Norvell does have a clause in his that Florida State wouldn't be due necessarily to pay all the money out over the years. They would have to pay a chunk up, but Norvell would have the same clause in his contract where he would have to go look for work based on it. Now, that doesn't mean he's going to find it, but if he does get another job, that would reduce your overall payment.
That's right. Those clauses are in these contracts at times. You're right.
So if he does land a coordinator, I believe he would land a coordinator job at some point over the next 2 years or so. That would defer some of that. I mean, he's not going to be a $10 million coordinator, but it would maybe defer that by 10% or something over time. It's still a lot of effing money.
It's a good point, KB, because in a lot of these contracts, there've been coaches before where if they went out and found another job in the same conference, they had to forfeit X amount and other things like that. And why some guys sat out, those clauses could be in there. You're exactly right.
It is. And that's what, according to what I read to the Tallahassee Democrat, that he has the same type of market salary, that obligation to seek a market rate salary upon his termination, just like James Franklin had in his contract. So,
and I believe right now, from what I hear, Mike Norvell's buyout is like right now. I believe I read a thing that said he could have the #1 highest buyout in current college football. No, you don't think so?
It's 49.7. Jimbo's was 76.8 million.
Right.
He's not beating Jimbo. So it would be second highest though. It would be second highest though.
All right.
Yeah, it would be ahead of James Franklin. So it's still a lot of money. Once again, it's still a lot of money up front. And then, but some of it potentially could be deferred if he does get a job. But it's still a lot of money, and I understand that.
It's still a lot of money because you got to count the money. You got to count the money of hiring a new coach, firing the old staff, bringing in a new staff.
Exactly.
And so on.
So we're talking about probably 70 to 100 million, people say. 70 to 100 million with all the assistants and stuff like that. It's a lot. It's a lot of money, and I understand that. I just think that a statement like this, to your point, I do get why you say it to stop the questions of, is it going to be today? Is it going to be today? Because that does put a lot of uncertainty around the program, and that can also be used as a recruiting tool against you to say, they don't know. And that does build discontent within your locker room as well, because I don't know if my coach is getting fired, and it just breeds all that talk. So this at least can squash some of that. And honestly, they could still fire him any week they wanted to, just because they say we have our support. If someone writes them a check tomorrow for all the money, I have no doubt that they'll fire him in 2 weeks. I think this is just, like you said, to stop the conversations. And if they get the cash, and if they get the right person on board who's ready to take it, if Brian Hartline in 3 weeks said, hey guys, I'm ready to step away from Ohio State and start getting this thing rolling, they would fire Mike Norvell if they had all those things lined up.
In a minute.
But they don't have all those things lined up. They do not have all those things lined up. But I think you need to get it done sooner rather than later. I think waiting until December is not the right move, because then you're setting up the next coach doesn't want to take that on either. He doesn't want to take on a program that's has all the players opted out or looking elsewhere come November 31st.
That's the negative. That's the negative impact. Yeah.
And then you have to fundraise too for NIL at the last, because
Right.
people aren't going to show up to games anymore, guys. Like, people aren't going to show up to games. People aren't going to be wanting to give money to a coach who isn't going to be here in 2 months. And so you're in a really tough spot. And you have these questions too of, is Mike Alford going to be, is he on the chopping block? I don't know, because he's the one that signed, let's keep in mind, I know Mike Norvell had 2 good seasons. He had 2 really good seasons, but he was signed to an 8-year extension. An 8-year extension. It wasn't 4 years, it was 8 years that you signed him up for. And that's on Alford. Alford played the game with Jamie Sexton and he lost.
Yeah, that was the leveraging that Norvell was going to go to Alabama. He was their choice. That was a leverage. That was a leverage by Sexton, the agent. I don't blame Sexton. That's his job, to get as much as he can for his client. Let's not throw
But this
mud
is
at
something
that.
too that college football teams, I think, need to come together and say, enough of this. The players are already getting a lot of money,
right?
And we have to bring these coaches' salaries down to like NFL levels. And I think Bud Elliott said something similar to this on Twitter or somewhere, but he said, since we already have this pro model of roster, strategy and allocation of money, the salaries for coaches need to come in line. It's out of control. And the only way to do that is if you break the model of Jimmy Sexton. The schools really need to come together and basically ice this guy out and say, we're not playing ball like this anymore. We're not going to build on top of each other and outbid each other.
Well, I don't think Jimmy Sexton is evil.
He broke the model. He broke the model, though.
Well,
and it's not sustainable.
No.
It's not sustainable.
No, I disagree. I don't think Jimmy Sexton is evil. I don't think Jimmy Sexton broke the model.
Yes, he did.
The accountability is at the universities who are writing these checks
and they need to stop
and writing these deals. That's really, it may need to stop until the universities stop doing it. It'll continue.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
It's not the agent's fault. It's not the fault of the agent. It's the fault of the guy writing the checks and cutting the deals.
But he's playing both sides.
Who cuts this deal like Alford did? That is outrageous deal. It's outrageous. I totally agree with you. These deals are outrageous. It should be stopped. But it's not the fault of the agent. The agent's job is to get the most money.
But he's playing both sides. That's the weird part. That's the weird part, is that in most of the negotiations, one side represents but there's an agent on one side and an agent on the other, just like buying a house. Jimmy's playing both sides. He's on the coach who's being hired for he's on both sides most of the time, right? With Norvell, he was with Alabama and he was with Florida State, so he's negotiating essentially kind of with himself. It's crazy. It's crazy.
No. He's still negotiating. He's still negotiating with each individual university.
And he has all the details. He has all the
university, like most of us normal people, have to have a budgetary amount that we can go to, just like when they give NIL deals to players. Or
that's what I'm saying.
This is what we're going to do.
They need to reset it.
It has to be a budget reset at the university. Florida State may not be able to compete money-wise with Texas or Penn State or Ohio State or Michigan or Notre Dame. At this point, we may not. That's why we're trying to get out of the ACC to get a bigger share of money. It is going to be about money, but I can't put the blame. I put the blame on the university. I don't put it on the agents.
But we shouldn't be trying to get more money so we can buy out more coaches. More coaches are getting money. Coaches are making more money failing than they are succeeding. And that's the issue with college athletics right now. The players, they're getting their money. They're getting set up with that. But we're in this arms race of who can pay the next best coach when there's not that many great there's not that many great coaches, and where they're making all their money is these insane buyouts. At some point, to your point, the universities have to say, we have to align ourselves and say we're not going to play this game where we're outbidding each other,
exactly,
and putting these crazy buyouts where we're rewarding people for failing.
You're exactly right. Now let me finish that statement. You could have the SEC or the Big 10 or the Big 12 or the ACC say, listen, universities, we're going to get together. We're going to get together that this monster called football is now taking over the universities. It's out of control. we're all going to get together in this conference and we're going to have a base cap. You can add whatever incentives you want, but we're going to have a base cap on coaches. They could do that. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but that could be done to control this. Okay. That could happen, but it's the universities who are at fault, who are cutting these deals the way this is, because they cut this deal on Mike Norvell. It's the university, Florida State University's problem. They cut it. This guy he didn't have the profile coming in here. He had 2 seasons there in a row, and he was being leveraged by the agent, and Florida State fell into it because they're not negotiators. They're really not negotiators. Okay. They took the bait and they bit down, and that's how it went down. And it's the university's fault, not Jimmy Sexton's fault, not Mike Norvell's fault. Yeah. It's not their fault.
It's just the number.
It's the university's fault. And I dare someone to say I'm wrong on that. I dare anybody out there say I'm wrong on that.
No, I agree. And but that's what I say. I think these schools at some point in some of these conference meetings need to come together and say, we're not paying. Why these buyouts? $105 million for Kirby Smart, $70 million for Ryan Day, $60 million for Dabo, $60 million for
the programs.
Steve Sarkisian. You are incentivizing them to lose, to fail. These Kalen DeBoer, $60 million. Brian Kelly, $53 million. Bill Belichick, $20 million. He just got that $20 million. Lane Kiffin, these things are crazy, man. These things are crazy. These things are like 6x their annual pay. Like it's insane to me.
It is insane. It is insane. You're absolutely right.
There needs to be a market readjustment to this because it's incentivizing the
and who can do that market readjustment? Not the coaches, not the agents. It has to fall to the university athletic departments, or those athletic departments will go bust. Yep. They will go bust. And also, not only them, you know what? It's the boosters, the senior boosters with the big money who say enough is enough. We're not doing that. Yep. They could say, well, I've given you 15 mil in the past as a donor. I'm not doing that anymore. This is bullshit. I'll give 5 million. I'm done. Okay. Yep. This is outrageous. Okay. And they're businessmen. The true businessmen are the boosters writing the checks. Mike Alford's not a businessman. He doesn't write any checks. Norvell doesn't write any checks. Fans pay money and boosters give money. And that's the people. Fans vote with their feet when their butts aren't in the seats, and the senior boosters take their checkbooks out. That starts to establish it.
And there's not going to be a lot of checks the next 2 weeks or 2 months. Yes. I guarantee that. I guarantee with the statement today and what's going on, you're not going to see a lot of checks, Alford. So
I would say this, that these senior boosters, I'll call them senior boosters, money boosters. Those are the guys. They are consulting with Alford. Alford has to have them. So they're in consult. The question is, they're lengthening out Norvell for some reason, and I believe they have a reason in mind. Now, whether or not the negatives outweigh the positives, which could happen on this length of duty, we shall see. Let me give you a statement here and get your thoughts on this. I'll give you your first shot, and that is, and I heard another station that does FSU full-time, they said this. They said, one of their leading guys said this: the only thing that makes the most sense is if Florida State is wanting to completely restructure how the football program is run, and they need time, and that's why they're keeping Norvell. They need time to get things right before moving on those changes and to create a legitimate front office operation. I'm like, well, I thought they'd already done that. They have a general manager, so to speak. They have recruiting staff. They got this staff. If you look at the number of people in the football office operations, it is almost gross, in that regard. Well, I don't know what that statement means in that regard.
I don't get that statement either, because like you said, I don't get that. And also, you could get rid of him and put an interim in. And we talked about culture change.
And do the same thing.
Switching over the culture to get someone they're not
Put
listening
Gus,
to.
let Gus be the interim. He's
Or
been a
somebody.
head coach before.
Yeah, exactly. Just
What
try
difference
to
does it make?
settle things for a bit, and you can still do all those things in the background. But the other thing to that point is, I don't want people to think that Florida State isn't capable or not investing. I mean, you just opened a brand new practice facility. You are one of the top 10 in NIL contributions in roster. You spent $20 million on this roster, they say. And I believe that. Like, they are investing in this program. They are investing in facilities. This is a great program to take over. They invested in Mike Norvell.
Yes.
In his coaches.
Right.
10 million plus in his assistant coaches' salaries. He failed, and they gave him everything he needed to succeed. And so don't get into the rumor that he didn't have everything it took to succeed. He had a lot more than
Oh no,
I've
never heard. I haven't heard that. I heard that with Jimbo, but I haven't heard that with
no.
Norvell.
People are saying FSU's broke. Well, no, Florida State has invested a lot of money into this program and into Mike Norvell. The program's not broke. They've invested a lot. Now they have
everything.
to go get a lot more to rebuild. And for me, what we need is just a coach that wins, not necessarily a coach that is going to win us a national championship in the next 3 years, but a coach that gets us winning again, winning 9 games consistently, getting us in the position to be at the ACC title games year after year. Get us back on the winning track consistently, not every other year or every 3 years where it's up and down. Get us back to winning again. Get us back to where we're beating the right teams like we should be, and we're competing with the best teams like we should be. That's all I want. Someone that makes us competitive. And if that's James Franklin because he got shit on because he couldn't beat the big teams, but he made them competitive every year, maybe that's the right guy. Or maybe it's Brian Hartline who recruits his ass off, evaluates and develops, and he's a young guy. I don't know. We're going to have this conversation a lot. I just want a guy that comes in and can win. Not this top roller coaster, Mike Norvell.
That's right. And we're going to have this is gonna be, as I said, a long, dirty, dusty ride, no matter when they bring a guy in. But now they've lengthened this. They think they stopped the thing by saying he's going to continue. But like I said, it doesn't matter what he does. He could win every game, or he could go into Clemson and get his ass clobbered. Are they going to make a move then? Or are they going to stick with a statement he's going to finish the year? He could go into Gainesville and get slaughtered. You know, at this point, if players start opting out, which it would be hard to believe. I want to believe this about players. I want to believe players constantly compete. I really believe that, unless they have a reason they were going to sit out, they want to save their bodies, or that's a different argument. I believe players play to compete. Here's what I would say. If any coaches on this staff believe someone is not competing, has quit, has an attitude problem, is disrespectful, I'd remove them from my locker room. I don't give a shit who they are, because there's no one on this team that's that valuable to disrupt and poison the system. I don't care if you're a coach that's going to be leaving or staying. You cannot allow that in your system, in your office, in your room, in your stadium. It's not fair to you. It's not fair to the fans. It's not fair to this university. It's not fair to the brand.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
But at this point, it also, it's a business, and players are going to make business decisions.
Well, you know what? And then coaches should make business decisions too.
I agree.
Okay. The same thing with these contracts with these players. Maybe we got guys that don't know how to write freaking contracts. Player contracts should have bases on them, bases and incentives. There's nothing wrong with that.
No one deserves an 8-year extension. I'm sorry. I don't care who it is.
Okay.
But unless you're winning a national championship,
it's done.
You shouldn't get an 8-year extension.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
It's done. I think you're right. It's done. Okay. That is done. I believe maybe they need to get smarter with their contracts. Maybe they shouldn't take the bait. Maybe they need to get some real people that know how to write contracts, just like players in the NFL. They have a lot of incentives in their thing. How many reps do they play? And so on and so on. That's why you see some of the stars, even in games, have blown out. They're still in the game. There's rep things.
Florida State historically signed some shitty contracts, just like they did with the ACC.
Right. Don't you think that if players had a rep count incentive, And if they're not good enough, coaches are not playing them, they're not going to meet that goal, that incentive on their thing. We got to get smarter, okay? I don't know if the people in the front office are suck. They don't know what's going on, but something has got to change. And it's going to take the new guy coming in who has the strength, has the record to come in and make the changes he wants to compete at the national level. And I think to this point, we're going to be monitoring this, and we're going to bring what we have, our opinions, and what we know as fast as we can bring it.
And I think to your last point, I think it's a good kind of wrap up to this, is that, I mean, this is also a final send off for Mike Norvell. Like, you have nothing to lose at this point. How does he change his style? Like you said, no, there's no more response, respond, no more climb. It's off the social media now. What do you have to lose, and how do you change your style to this? Like I said, how do you change your message? If guys are going to mock you on the sidelines, what do you do? Are you going to bench them, or are you just going to take it? If you're not going to give max effort, do you play them, or do you sit them their ass on the bench? How do you change the depth chart out? Who do you line up every week?
You've coached a little bit at some levels. I've coached a little bit at different levels. If I have a disrespectful kid, he sits his ass down.
But that's what I'm saying.
Like that,
Mike hasn't shown that.
Mike hasn't shown that. Put up with that shit.
And I want to see if Mike actually, in these last 6 games, if he actually changes and acts like he has nothing to lose and actually plays the players who want to play and give a shit, or he continues to take shit and just, hey, throw him out there. This is it, Mike. This is your last 6 games of your resume as a head coach. Act like it. Show some, stop putting the fake rah-rah bullshit out there and play the guys you want to play and give it your all. Even if you want to go back and call on the play, I don't give a shit. Give it your all.
Well,
and don't take shit anymore. Yell at guys' faces. Do what you need to do. Cut guys. I don't give a shit. Tell them they're out for this game. And go with the guy. Go to the minimum roster depth if you have to. I don't give a shit anymore.
He constantly, these guys are being paid as professionals now. You should treat them as professional people in that way. And what you're saying is exactly right. This is also on Mike Norvell's resume.
It's a character test. It's a character test for him.
And if you already know, I'd gather my significant staff, and I say, I want to know right now who you believe in your rooms are not competing. They've lost. They've got an attitude. They're disrespecting you, and I don't see it. I want to know those names. I want you to submit those names to me, because when that happens, they don't play anymore. It doesn't matter if he loses anymore. It doesn't matter. But what matters is I'm going to help kids in this program. I'm going to help them succeed if they're trying. If they're trying. Anybody not trying, anybody giving you shit is out. It doesn't matter if we win. I'm playing the guys that we need to help. He always says, I'm here to help young men. Help the ones that are helping themselves. Get rid of the ones that aren't. That's what it takes. And that'll be his resume moving forward. Is that what it takes?
I agree.
Okay. Yeah. Right here, Jacob says Norvell has shown that he is too soft. Soft men don't win championships. Soft men don't even win games. I see more spirit from coaches in youth leagues getting on players than I see Mike Norvell do it.
I agree. And that's, I think, overall part of
the the true leaders of this team, I don't know, is Tommy Castellano put his ass on the line, right?
But nobody stood up for him. When he got knocked out and targeted.
Nobody came around. Nobody pushed someone else and went after somebody, and whatever.
Can you imagine if they did that to Jameis back in the day? How many guys would have had his back and would have just jumped over a guy?
And you're right about that, KB. I've watched some games this year. I don't see the offensive line running over and helping
up a running back. Yeah, helping up the running backs.
I don't see it. When they're standing around the guy, I don't see it. No. It's weird. It is weird.
They don't play like a team.
But this is something that, Mike is probably too soft, too nice a guy at this level, and it just overwhelmed him. The whole thing overwhelmed him. So it's going to be an interesting ride going forward, my friend.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it. That's it. Obviously, if more, there's gonna be a lot of breaking stuff, so we'll try to react to it. Obviously, we'll we'll be developing our own call. Old man, that's what I want you to do is develop your coaching hot board of who your maybe targets will be.
And we're going to
head
start. We'll
coaching,
have
stuff
some
like
phone
that.
calls coming in. We'll have the
Yeah,
phone
yeah,
line up the next time, and
yeah.
yeah, we're going to
So,
be on more more regular
yeah.
because there's always a lot of shit going on now.
Absolutely. So thank you guys
Right.
for joining us. Thanks for the comments. Please be sure to like and subscribe. Hit the bell so you know when we do shows like this on the fly. Obviously, we'll be doing our Wake Forest preview show next week. But if anything else breaks through this week, let me know. Or if anything breaks through this week, we'll let you know. So hit the bell and like, and we'll be sure to hit that up. But we appreciate it. Have a great start of your week.
Yeah,
I know
please
it's been
hit that
tough.
subscribe button and all of that good stuff. That really helps us, get our program out. We're getting great response from people, because we're here. We're giving the fan reaction, and you guys are really helping to motivate this message. We're all out there. We're Seminoles do or die. We're Seminoles do or die, and we're going to figure it out. We're going to figure it out.
Absolutely. So stick with us. Stick with Florida State. I know it's tough right now, but we'll get through it together, guys. All right. Take care, everyone. Have a great evening. Have a great week. We'll see you soon. Go Noles. Go Noles.
Go Noles.
And we'll
Go
get
Noles.
through this.
Seminole sideline 365. Feel the roar, we're coming alive. Garnet and gold in the battle we thrive. This is our house where legends arrive. Every yard we take, it's blood.